we're just really excited to have Emily DeVore here, who is the founder, the creator, the person that's bringing all this together on this incredible placemaking project at Crowley Station. You all have driven by Crowley Station. Honestly, you probably all driven by about 1,000 times and didn't even know it was there. It's a well cap or top. I don't know. Emily can explain exactly. It's a two-tiered top right off of Wilson Street, between Wilson Street and John Nolan, near the Hairball intersection. Emily has put together a group called the Lakefront Porch on Wilson Street, new members here at DMI, and is going to talk about this really cool placemaking project on the east side of downtown and on the burgeoning Wilson Street, which there's a new development almost every day that comes up on Wilson Street. And so this could be a great way for First Settlement and the neighborhood there to have of their own, a park space. So Emily, we're so excited to have you here. Going to have a presentation, and I think we'll have a little bit of time for some question and answer as well. So welcome, Emily. And yes, Emily and I always tell this story. We may be family, we don't know. Emily grew up about 3, 4, or 5 miles away from my family farm in Buffalo, Minnesota. So very random.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Fun fact of the day. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for inviting me to talk with you this morning. I'm excited to share a little bit of info about the Lakefront Porch project and what we've been doing for the last couple of years. I have a presentation if the host would allow it. And hopefully it'll be 10 to 15 minutes. And then, like Jason said, we may have a few minutes for some questions here. Okay. Here we go. So as Jason introduced, my name is Emily DeVore, and I am sort of volunteer leading this public space improvement project alongside numerous other kind of resident volunteers in the First Settlement neighborhood. And we've been working really hard for the last 2 years now to bring this project forward. I'm going to explain a little bit about the background of the project today, and then I'll show you, we have a design for what it could look like in the future, and I'll get into the details of that. So at its core, the Lakefront Porch project is aiming to transform an existing space called the Crowley Station into a more vibrant and engaging community gathering place. So just like Jason said, it's a bit of a placemaking project for a public space or a park. And some background on this site here. So this site is kind of along East Wilson Street here. Just like Jason said, it's at the intersection of this Blair Street intersection. It's right near it. So it's at a great location at an entrance to downtown, and it sits on top of a working Madison water utility well. And it's actually called well number 17. So you can kind of see there's 2 platforms here. There's an upper tier, which is the working well, and then the lower tier is a water reservoir. And the space is already a public space. I don't know if you guys have seen it as you're driving by, but there's a few tables and chairs and a few custom designed benches, as well as an operating community garden organization. And we just think that the location along East Wilson Street and along with the view of Lake Monona and along the Cap City Trail with pedestrian and bike access makes this a really desirable location, not only for the neighborhood residents, but for all of downtown visitors. And we're excited that the opportunity this could have as a gateway to the city and a resource to the community. So just over the past couple of years, we've kind of reinitiated a new round of improvements. But as I said, this was already a public space. So neighbors over the past 2 decades have worked really hard to make this space into what it is today. And it's written into the First Settlement Neighborhood Master Plan that this space wants to be a gathering place for neighbors and for visitors to downtown. So we're now continuing on that process. In 2020, I started this new round of improvements by applying for a Madison neighborhood grant through Capital Neighborhoods, Inc. Capital Neighborhoods, Inc., the Downtown Association, has been a great help to us in this project and a great support. And so after we received that funding in 2020, we put together some, because of COVID, virtual visioning sessions and online surveys to try and engage the neighbors and the community to see what they would want on this site in the future and document all of these desires. And then that also led to a connection with Michael Revere and Madison Water Utility through him. And we received additional funding from Madison Water Utility at that time, with the help of Michael Revere. So out of those visioning sessions, there was a lot of amazing ideas, and we have a kind of document that shows all of them in one. But from a high level perspective, the themes were transforming a really underused space into something artistic and comfortable and really engaging that people will think of as a destination. There's also a strong desire to enhance the accessibility to this public space. And I will say they actually started a ramp from East Wilson Street up to the first level, I think yesterday. So if you see some work going on there, that's actively happening right now. And then the third theme was sort of to harmonize with the existing natural elements, which include the lakefront view and the gardens, not only on the site with the community garden beds, but the Wilson Green, which is the space, the park and green space right next to the platform. And this is just a list of our volunteer committee who's been working in the background, meeting at least weekly for the last couple of years to try and take those community ideas and bring them into reality. And really this whole project came out of a partnership between Capital Neighborhoods, Inc., Madison Water Utility, the Planning Division, and the Parks Division with the city. So we've been working hard to form relationships throughout the city here. And then in 2021, we hired Psyche Design to take these ideas and form a cohesive conceptual master plan for the site. And that's how we landed with this vision of the lakefront porch. So I'm going to walk through now some of the design elements that we hope to implement. So this is kind of a bird's eye view of the site, and the top of the screen is East Wilson here, and the entrance to the site is off of East Wilson. One of the first things, as I said, is we're making it accessible. Both tiers will be accessible via ramps. The second tier is actually kind of built into this platform, which I'll talk about in a second. We'll add additional bicycle parking. And then this raised platform is one of the core elements of the design. It's kind of this wood looking element that you see on the screen, and it'll take up kind of the central area of the lower platform. And the idea behind this is sort of, there's many goals. There's one, to raise people up so that when they're seated at a seated height, they can see over the railing to the lake view. Another is to help with the heat on the platform. So by covering up some of the concrete, it'll help a little bit with how much that concrete absorbs the sun and the heat in the summertime. And also just to give it a cozier, better atmosphere, because right now it's concrete and metal, and we're trying to bring color and warmth to the site. Well, the community gardens will remain and continue to be run by that organization, but the beds currently are rotting out. So those will be rebuilt and integrated, as you see here, along the edge of the platform. And then we've got seating. We're just going to add additional seating and chairs on top of the lower platform. Right now, there's only 4 tables and chairs there. The pools of shade are these shade structures here, these triangular metal perforated structures. And the idea there is, again, with the community engagement sessions, people cited heat as a major issue for not using the site. So these shade structures will act not only as a barrier to that, but as well, it'll be kind of an iconic, artistic visual as people are passing by the site that we hope will draw people there. There will be a small rain catchment system to help with the gardening. And we will rebuild the little library that came forward in the community visioning sessions as an important element of the site, and that fell into disrepair recently. Lighting will be integrated into the shade structures, so it'll be kind of atmospheric. There's already street lighting in this area, but we're hoping that this will again help catch the eye as people are passing the platform and invite them up for a little bit of evening use. And on the far right here, you can kind of see these freeform play structures that Psyche Design implemented when some of the community sessions brought forward that local daycares were using this space with children, and we also want to be welcoming to families. So this gives you an idea of what the Wilson Street entrance, this stairway is from East Wilson Street, what it looks like today when you're walking by, and then what we hope it could look like in the future. So you can kind of see here this platform and the garden beds that I was referencing, and that's raised maybe 18 inches up off the platform. These shade structures will have color kind of along the posts. And then we're having shade structures come up from the street view on Wilson side as well and kind of be cantilevered over the site. And we're hoping that that helps with since it is a raised platform up off of street view, it'll help bring people's eye up onto the platform and make it more welcoming and inviting. We're hoping that a lot of the activities that the community brought forward in the sessions that they wanted to do can be better organized and more inviting once we implement these things on the site. So everything from meeting up with friends to stopping on your way to the farmer's market. There was a lot of discussion about there being exercise available, like yoga on the platform, hosting neighborhood events, growing vegetables in a community garden plot, and obviously integrating into a lot of the downtown Madison events that people know and love. Like you could have a view of the ski shows on Lake Monona from this site. So more seating and a more comfortable environment would help with that. And then I have a couple renderings here that'll show you, this is the back corner overlooking Lake Monona. And it can kind of show you how we have these pockets designed where there's seating underneath shade, kind of surrounded by the garden beds that create this cozy atmosphere that we're hoping will make people really want to use this site and excited to think of it as a destination. Here's another example of that, looking back towards the Blair Street intersection and Machinery Row in the background. And just kind of showing again the garden beds and the shade structures, the fact that this will now be an accessible site. This is an example of how it could look at night with that lighting that's integrated into the shade structures. The LED lighting will kind of reflect up onto the triangular shade panels. So there should be very little disruption. It'll be night sky friendly. We'll be careful to make sure it's not disruptive to the people living around there. It's just going to add some atmosphere to the site. And so just a few things about logistics here. The timeline for the project, it's, as I said, been going on for a couple of years now, where we started with the visioning sessions and got funding through the Madison Neighborhood Grant and Madison Water Utility. And then we have started doing implementations. Last year, Madison Water Utility upgraded the railings, and that increased the safety of the site. And then this year, as I said, we've started the first ramp from East Wilson up to the platform, and we began fundraising for private donations to meet this vision. So we're hoping that in 2023, we'll be able to begin and finish construction so that there's a little bit of time left in the year with good weather where we can start using it. And I just wanted to note, in case you've seen us around, we have been in the news a couple of times. The Wisconsin State Journal did a piece, and NBC 15, and I can send out these links afterwards if you're interested. There's an article and even a video from NBC. We've also been working really hard to form partnerships across the city and to get support and to work with different city stakeholders and organizations to understand what the needs of this particular site will be. And we've gotten letters of support from Kathleen Falk, a past Dane County executive, Michael Verveer, the alder of the area, Madison Parks Division, and Madison Water Utility, who will be key divisions in helping make this a reality and in maintaining it afterward. And so ultimately our fundraising goal is $525,000. That's what we need to build this vision that I showed you. And we are now fundraising because we need the community's help in making this a reality. We're at about 115,000 currently, and we hope to finish our fundraising by the end of this calendar year, especially because as many of you probably know, the construction costs are probably going to continue rising in the current market. So we're on a good timeline, and we have opportunities for people to have their names or put names in memory of someone on the site if they want to support a specific element that I spoke of. So we have all these kinds of documents like our naming opportunities, and I can also send these as resources if anyone is interested. So this is an opportunity as well for people who want to donate. And so I'll just end by saying, we as a project would love your support and help spreading the word about this. And we have an online website, lakefrontporch.org, where people can go to learn more, and they can also donate online or via check, because we've partnered with the Center for Community Stewardship, which is a nonprofit organization that exists to help with cases like this where our organization is not a nonprofit, but we can then still take donations that are tax exempt. So if you have any ideas about how to spread the word, or you want any resources from me, you can email lakefrontporch@gmail.com. And I think that's it. So thank you for your time. Does anyone have questions? Susan?
Sorry, I didn't know who was going to call. Susan, yeah.
Oh, you're muted. Susan, you're muted. Sorry.
Susan.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Emily. That was absolutely terrific. And isn't it great working with Ken?
Yes, absolutely.
Ken is amazing. I have lots of questions. First of all, is this under Madison Parks purview in terms of maintenance and the Parks Department?
Yeah, so right now there's an existing, because it's already a public space, there's an existing memorandum of understanding, and the Parks is really only in charge of maintaining the trash and recycling currently, and it's likely to be similar. The Madison Water Utility kind of maintains everything else, and when we implement this, the MOU will get updated and whatever specific needs get added to the site.
Okay, well, and I was wondering that because I was wondering if there you could have any help from the Madison Parks Foundation in terms of some of the fundraising and like who is running the fundraising. Not sure if that works then. Under the Parks Division, or how is
Yeah, that's a great idea. We've been in contact with them. We have some ongoing conversations with the Madison Parks Foundation. But if you have any other additional suggestions on contacts or avenues to connect, I'm open.
Yeah, so who and then who is going to be overseeing the fundraising?
Well, our group is doing the fundraising. We did hire Amanda White as a consultant, and then the Center for Community Stewardship is our fiscal receiver.
Okay, and then one other thing is is there going to be someone responsible for possible programming, and like could you have a small music and I know you wouldn't have speakers and stuff like that, but meaning wouldn't be loud for the neighborhood, but like small venues for music, especially in the evening and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. That was part of a thing that the community desires. And I know that they have had some acoustic music events on the site in the past already. So I think that will probably continue. In terms of like formal programming, there's no system in place as of yet, but I think we're definitely open to that possibility and to continuing to work with the city or Parks Department or
Yeah,
to
'cause
figure that out once it's
that's
done.
what I wondered, because if you have programming, you have to go through somebody.
Right,
So,
right.
right, so that you don't know yet?
There's no formal
Okay.
programming process in place at this moment.
Okay. All right, well, obviously you can tell I was very involved in Lisa Lynn Peace Park. So this sort of reminds me a little bit of all of that good stuff. So this is
Yeah,
amazing. It's been a place waiting to happen. It's really
Yeah.
nice. And if I can be of some help, just give me a call.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Tiffany.
Tiffany? Thanks, Jason.
Hi, Emily. A couple questions for you. First, maybe to echo Susan's thoughts about programming. You know, the Parks Department does have an individual who handles programs in the parks, so it might just naturally fall underneath her work. If you don't know Tracy from the Parks Department, we could introduce you to her.
Yeah.
But we work with her very often because she often uses Peace Park for programming, like movie nights. That might be something. The second question is there, when you talk about food, and people bringing food over there, do you have any thoughts or have you connected about any food carts or any other food options in that space? Because I think
No,
in terms of walkable food, there isn't very much.
Yeah, there's a couple restaurants across the street, and I imagine the farmers market will be a good connection point. Machinery Row has some, but no, nothing particular to food carts. There hasn't been anything organized. It was definitely mentioned as something that people were interested in, especially with the parking lot that exists behind the site, potentially being a good spot where the trucks could drive in. But there's no formal partnership or anything, if that's what you're asking.
So that parking lot you mentioned, who will control that parking lot?
So that's owned by, I believe that's, and don't quote me here because I need to look back in my records, but it's owned by someone else. It's not water utility. So technically it would have to be coordinated. It's some city department, I believe, maybe engineering.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I'm
then,
99% sure it's engineering. Yeah.
Okay.
Engineering. Okay. And then the other piece would be, who have you contacted as business owners in that area? Do you need, it sounds like you talk about the first settlement district, but I don't know, have you connected with anyone in the first settlement district in the business category versus just neighbors?
Yes. Yeah. So both when we first started, there was a number of the business owners like Tantra Wellness that came to our visioning sessions because we sent out postcards to every address in the neighborhood. And then now that we're starting the fundraising process, we have been like going around to businesses, reaching out. We're about to print some flyers and we'll be going around to the businesses in the immediate area, introducing the project in person, asking them if they would want to like Collectivo where they have their board, hang up a flyer. So there's an ongoing effort to continue to notify more of the businesses. And we've already started, especially the ones that are directly across the street. We definitely have let them know already.
So right there at that cutoff is not in the business improvement district. So like the Rubens building forward on Wilson Street toward Monona Terrace, that area is in the business improvement district. So we're right on your boundary. And I think, you know, if you wanted to think about notifying people through our newsletter, we could do that. And then second, we do monthly have a first settlement district meeting. If you wanted to attend that, or if you were interested in reaching out, you can connect with me on that. It's typically the first Thursday of each month that we meet with all of the business owners. So, I mean, I think there's always these conversations about categories of people. And so while we represent the property owners, this would be a way for you to connect to business owners in that district. I don't think, I will tell you, none of them know about this project, according to the folks that were at the last meeting. So none of them are aware of your project and they all should be. So if you wanted to reach out and connect on that, we could set up a time for you. Otherwise, they're all like, what are you talking about? And then the last piece I would be interested in knowing is what you do think about alcohol and people drinking in that space, which kind of ties maybe into just behaviors in that space too. It's kind of double-edged sword. Might be a nice place to have a cocktail or a beer. Might be a dangerous place to allow alcohol. What are your thoughts on that topic?
I don't have any personal opinions about that. I think it would be you know, part of the approval process, I imagine, through the city. I know that neighbors, some neighbors, rightfully so, have been asking great questions about safety in this area, especially if you're increasing use of it.
'Cause if you build it, people come, right? I mean, that's the good bad. If you build something cool, people want to come hang out there. And so just balancing sort of what the behaviors are and the expectations. So if it is, do I understand that it would be a Madison Park? Is that kind of what you're trying to say by the fact that Parks has that relationship already? I mean, I guess that's the biggest question I have is oversight of the space. It's like who decides?
Who what? Sorry, was that?
Who decides what gets to happen within that space when?
I think Madison Water Utility, because they own the land. I don't believe that it'll be considered a Madison Park because it's owned by Madison Water Utility and has to be governed a little bit differently with like the Public Service Commission and all of that. But we're in the midst of having conversations with Michael Verveer and Madison Water Utility to like rewrite this MOU, which will have some of the finer point details that you're asking about here. All we know so far is that Madison Water Utility and Madison Parks Division have committed to working it out and are committed to making this possible. I just don't think that they have exactly written out specific responsibilities between the two.
Okay, thank you. I think those are, in order to make it successful, who uses it and how are probably the more important questions. It's beautiful. I love your idea for the design, but I think for success, who uses it and how are going to be really important questions. I could see people in First Settlement wanting to use it for a private event, and would that be allowed or not? And all those technical questions. So excited to see it come together. Happy to introduce you to some other folks if you need the introductions.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Emily? All right, we're a little bit beyond our time, but Emily, this is a great project. I am so excited about this. I did a little screenshot of some of the opportunities available, so I'll reach out to you directly about that. Jason, anything else on your end?
Just a couple of quick announcements. Thank you, Emily. Great conversation, great discussion. We're all here to help. We really do appreciate it. You and I will touch base Friday. Couple reminders tomorrow, 7:45 a.m., beautiful Edgewater Hotel. We have our What's Up Downtown breakfast with Tom Lynch, Director of Transportation for the city. It'll also be on Zoom starting at a little after 8:05. And we have a new member coffee on August 3rd at Reinhardt. No, not Reinhardt, Greg, not Reinhardt. Greg's like, we're not hosting that at Von Briesen, at Von Briesen. Come join us at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, the 3rd as well. And we've got lots of events happening. Also, please come downtown, just as Michelle and Tiffany said, just so many things happening. We'll see you all downtown, Peggy.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks to everyone who shared all this good information. You know what I love best about this group is like we rip through this stuff. We've got everything covered, and the sharing of this information, the collaboration is terrific. So thanks to everybody for your great participation in Quality of Life Committee. Jason, always thanks to you and the team. Everybody enjoy your day. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at the breakfast. Have a good day.